What's up, everyone? Welcome into another episode of Locked On Bucks as Milwaukee continue the winless preseason. Well, it's the shadow of the Milwaukee team we expect to be there on opening night, but nonetheless, they played. We got a good look at MarJon Beauchamp, Jordan Nwora, Mamu as well. So we can talk about what we did see from this Bucks team and then look ahead to a strange preseason back-to-back against Brooklyn tomorrow. So let's get started.
You are Locked On Bucks, your daily Milwaukee Bucks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Bucks. I'm your host, Kane Pittman. You can see and hear me on this show Monday to Friday, and also find my work over at ESPN. Alongside me, founder of brewhoop.com and longtime voice of the podcast, Frank Madden. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. First-time users can receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. That's prizepicks.com, promo code Locked On. And we thank you for making Locked On Bucks your first listen or first watch of every day, of course, as well. If you haven't subscribed on the audio platform or YouTube, we would appreciate it if you did so after you're done or while you're listening to this podcast. So the Bucks lose to the Bulls 127-104, Frank. Few names missing from this one: Bobby Portis, George Hill, Joe Ingles, Brook Lopez, Grayson Allen, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Wesley Matthews, Pat Connaughton, Serge Ibaka, Giannis, and Thanasis. So I forgot that the roster was so big or so large in the preseason, because when I saw how many players were playing, I thought the Bucks were just forfeiting, Frank, but they did play and lost by 23 points. Where do you want to start with this one, though? Because I do think there was couple of interesting things to take away from this one. We got a really good look at some guys that we've spoken a lot about over the last few days.
Yeah, Jordan Nwora and MarJon Beauchamp, probably the two obvious guys, right? Came into this training camp talking about how, those guys sort of had an opportunity to win some early season minutes if they played well. And obviously it has been a mixed bag, probably would be charitable. For Nwora, I would say mixed bag probably makes sense, right? He had 21 points in the first preseason game, scores 25 on 17 shots tonight. I think generally just did more of the stuff that you say that's the good version of Jordan Nwora. So I think that was an encouraging sign. And then MarJon Beauchamp, I mean, the numbers are not particularly great to look at in the sense of, 6 of 16, 1 for 7 from 3, 14 points, minus 24 in 39 minutes. But I think he passed the eye test much more tonight than he did in any of his, earlier preseason games. Just looking like a lot more comfortable on the ball. Did have a couple turnovers in the second half, but I just thought, he just was making like the simple play. He was aggressive without feeling like the game was too fast for him. It just felt like things were at a more correct pace for him. And so I thought, just in general, he looked much better than he had early in the preseason. And, again, I think it's a step in the right direction for him. And certainly like 3-point shooting, he didn't convince anyone, obviously, that he's now got his 3-ball working or something like that. 1 out of 7. I don't know what he is on the preseason now, like 1 for 12 or 13 or something like that. Like he's reverted back to certainly like the guy we assumed coming into the draft where it was going to be a major question mark, but just I think the ball skills, the floor game, decision making, just again, he didn't seem nearly as nervous as he did the first 2 games of the preseason, and made some plays where it's like, oh, okay, that's those are like real NBA looking plays with the ball, and had a couple blocks as well. So we'll see. We talked last time how it's going to be a process for him, and hopefully this was, him clearing some hurdles and getting through some stuff that he hadn't here in the first 3 games of the preseason. And obviously we don't know how much he'll play tomorrow night, but I'm certain he will not touch 39 minutes probably anytime soon this season, even in games where the Bucks might be seemingly punting. 39 minutes, maybe the most that he plays all year in a competitive basketball game. So obviously for any young guy, just getting reps is important. and certainly got plenty of those tonight. And so again, just a building block type performance, and we'll see if it really kind of leads to anything, or if this was the last time we see him in any sort of, consequential number of minutes. But again, steps forward, and hopefully it's something he can build on.
Charles Lee mentioned pre-game that he is expecting that a number of the guys that obviously didn't play tonight will come back and play tomorrow. So to your point, I'm not expecting that number of minutes. But as I was watching Beauchamp to start, and I think you tweeted something about, as you just mentioned, the way he looked on the floor. But I was watching and I was thinking to myself, this is honestly a pretty good indicator of potentially some of the things he could do if he was drafted to a bad team. And we always discuss, and it's a big topic in the YouTube comments, specifically about the Bucks don't really develop any players. But again, it's just a reminder of the different bar for guys trying to come in and play in the rotation. And I don't know. I mean, he just looked different. And I assume that A, he was starting. B, he wasn't really worried about probably what shots he was taking. Like some of those threes were, I would say, they're probably not in his repertoire. Took a couple of step backs off the dribble, those types of shots that I would not think that he would even consider attempting if he's on the floor with Giannis and Drew and these types of players. So it was just a different level of freedom that he was playing with. But and even the first play where he had, or it might have been his second basket, but he caught the ball on the right wing. And I would imagine that three is the type of three that they want him just to put up straight away. But rather than getting the shot up, he put the ball on the floor. They finished really nicely at the rim. But, whether or not he can do that with all the other players on the floor, we'll see. And then secondly, the thing that I liked was I liked that he tried to throw that dunk down. And I know he got stuffed by Andre Drummond, but we've spoken about his athleticism a little bit. But I know he got blocked pretty badly, but he looked pretty athletic on a couple of those plays, and probably just a little bit more in control. So, the question for me is, does he look anything like that guy when all the stars are on the floor? I just think it's a different role that he's going to be playing, and I think that he's going to find it challenging when largely he's asked just to be a catch-and-shoot three-point guy on offense.
Yeah, and I think from a three-point perspective, I think he was trying to get threes up in ways that he might not in a normal regular season game. And it was interesting. The three he hit came off of caught it on the wing and put it up pretty quickly. And you could see coming out of the timeout, he was nodding. Charles Lee was telling him something. He was nodding. So it looked like, that was a play they had drawn up to get him that shot. And so it was nice to see him hit that in the third quarter. But after that, he was, when in doubt, he was putting it up quick. And again, I don't think he'll have necessarily that much of a hair trigger if he's out there randomly seeing minutes with, Giannis and Chris and Drew. But he'll probably also be a lot more probably be a lot more open too, because they weren't like leaving him wide open for the most part in this game. He had to actually kind of really hunt 3-pointers to get 7 off. So, so we'll see. Like we said, it's a process. And, again, I think just the level of comfort, he just looked a lot less nervous out there tonight than he did in previous games. So hopefully he's kind of gotten through some of that stuff, and, it felt like he had first game jitters for 3 straight games. And so now hopefully he's kind of past that.
All right, let's talk about Mamu, Jordan Nwora, Javon Carter, a couple of guys to work through here. But I am going to talk about Prize Picks first. And Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. We spoke about the deal we've got. I'll get to that in a second. But if you don't know what Prize Picks is, you have to pick 2 to 5 players. And if they score more or less than the Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry at prizepicks.com. So there's no competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections that are available. I don't know what the projection would have been for Jordan Nwora tonight, but based on the lineups, I would have taken Jordan Nwora for 20 plus points if it was up to me. But it's not just NBA. There's NFL, MLB, that's still going, NHL, PGA, college basketball as well, and all kinds of other sports. And it only takes 60 seconds to make your entry. It's that easy. The withdrawals are safe and fast. And it's currently operational in over 30 states and Canada as well. So download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. So if you deposit 100, you'll get 100. If you deposit 50, you'll get 50. Don't forget to enter the promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com. PrizePicks Daily Fantasy made easy. We found out tonight, sadly, Frank, Jevon Carter is human. And he started this game and he was hit a couple of threes, got to the free throw line a couple of times, and I thought he might go for 40. But by the second half, he was trying dribble moves, threes. He had an air ball there. And it's a shame. We hope that this is not the demise of the flamethrower Jevon Carter, because we really haven't seen him miss too many shots in a Milwaukee Bucks uniform. But he got the extended minutes tonight, and really early in the game looked like the scorer in the lineup alongside Jordan Nwora. So I don't know if you want to talk about Jevon Carter or Jordan Nwora, but I had the Bulls broadcast on my league pass, and it's not for the first time, because I've watched opposition calls a few times when Jordan Nwora is on a tear, and these opposition announcers they fall in love with Jordan Nwora when he has nights like he did tonight, because they're just like, this guy is so good. How is he not getting minutes? Because he's an NBA caliber scorer.
Yeah. Well, first off, Jevon Carter's, fall back to earth game. He shot 3 out of 8 from 3 and scored 13 points on 9 shots. So, hey, that's pretty good, and that's your down game shooting.
Well, that's what we said. When you're at 65% 3-point shooting, you can take a significant dip and still be very good.
Yeah. So, he was one of the reasons, obviously, that they were competitive in that first half, despite the obvious talent differential on the floor between the two teams. Jordan Nwora was kind of the Jordan Nwora stuff, just being aggressive, going to the basket, stepping back, hit a couple of step back threes, got into it, I think in the third quarter with somebody on the, some fan sitting courtside for good measure, nothing like some, preseason trash talk.
Probably Eric name.
So 3 steals and a block. The block was very impressive. Patrick Williams, who most of the night was being left unguarded to dunk the ball, had a drive going to his left, tried to pull it back to shoot with his right hand on the move, and Nwora just jumped up and just packed it. That was it wasn't quite the Jordan Nwora rejecting KD in the third quarter of opening night last year, but pretty impressive. So I guess, hey, Jordan Nwora has his moments defensively. I'd say not more the exception than the rule, but he played well. And I think the other guy that stood out, a guy that we probably won't, whose name we may never utter again, but sorry, we're saying it's Marquise Bolden on the Bucks broadcast. Marcus was going on this big thing about how he said, hey, you spelled your name the correct way or whatever, but he doesn't pronounce it the same way as Marcus. And I think he also was saying that, is it Marquise? Do you recall? I'm usually the pronunciation guy, but I don't even remember how his first name is pronounced. Marquise Bolden. He was 9 for 11, 21 points, 3 out of 4 threes. Kane, do you recall whether it's pronounced that way?
No, I mean, again, I was watching the Bulls broadcast, and they honestly were calling Mamu Kalashvili Mama. And they so once they were calling him Mama, they literally just made basically your mama jokes throughout the whole game and were laughing at themselves. So it was very bizarre and honestly not really that funny. So I don't know whether it's Marcus or Marquise. Well,
it's not Marcus, because Marcus Johnson said that he did not pronounce it that way and it was too late for him to change. So I'll just assume it's Marquise. Okay. I think Marcus also said that Marquise made some reference to Marcus's number 4 hanging in the rafters in Milwaukee, which was so close, Marquise, so close. Hopefully he realized that it was Marcus Johnson and not Sidney Moncrief that he was talking to. But yes. Who knows? This is the most extended Marquise Bolden discussion we're probably ever going to have. Also, I enjoyed the only defensive sequence that I probably enjoyed all night from the Bucks was when Tony Bradley came into the game and MarJon came over as a help defender and kind of blocked him on the way up. and then he recovered the ball, and then Bolden got him twice more in succession. So by my count, pretty sure the Bucks blocked Tony Bradley, who's an NBA caliber big man. It's not like Tony Bradley's not been a actually semi-productive bench big man in the NBA, but swatting Tony Bradley 3 times, that was the defensive highlight for the Bucks on the night that they surrendered 127 points. So I don't know that we're going to have anything else to say more about this defense, and I also don't particularly care, given this was basically the Wisconsin herd almost playing in Chicago tonight. But yeah, Bolden, I thought, really nice night. If this was the last time we really see him in a Bucks uniform, he went out and might have earned himself certainly didn't hurt his highlight reel with that, especially that shooting performance he had tonight. But guys tried to there was not for lack of effort from other guys trying to take the requisite shots. AJ Green 3 of 13, Lindell Wigginton 2 for 10 in that tightly contested battle for the last two-way spot. I think everybody knows how we feel about that.
I don't think that. I'm starting to feel bad. I don't think we need to get into it again.
Yeah. Hashtag Team Lindell. I don't know. Is there anything else really to say about this game? Mamu was okay. Had a lot of grab and go from Mamu. 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, but only 3 for 9 from the field. 13 points. So not like a huge Mamu game, but did some of the things we enjoy. Had a nice little around the back flip to Carter in the corner for a wide open 3 early in the third quarter. Then unfortunately Javon could not hit. But yeah, this is one of those check the box games. Reminder why it's stupid that ever they would schedule a back-to-back in the preseason. And the Bucks, I just tweeted out, the Bucks now 0-4 this preseason. We mentioned the other night they were 1-7 the last 2 preseasons combined. So they are now 1-11. They have as many wins over the last 3 years in preseason as they have NBA championships. So go figure.
I don't have much to add, and there's no intrigue. I mean, we've spoken about, as you mentioned, AJ Green and Lindell Wigginton, but there's no real intrigue in terms of the roster. You hear some teams and some podcasts at this time who's going to get the last roster spot. That's not the case with the Bucks. Costas played tonight a few minutes, 5 minutes, 2 points, 4 rebounds, couple of fouls as well. So he made the most of his minutes late in this game. But no, I don't have anything else to add from this one. As we said, the Nets tomorrow might be a little bit more entertaining. What haven't we discussed though, Frank? Is there anything that we should discuss? I mean, we're deep in the preseason doldrums right now. You think the games come back and you're going to have endless topics. Unfortunately, it hasn't quite been the case for the Bucks, but we'll see.
Let's save it for tomorrow night. We got a back-to-back game. We gotta conserve our energy too.
All right, let's wrap this up. So Bucks and the Nets coming up tomorrow night. Do you know what time that game is, Frank?
World record shortest podcast for me, Kane. Here we're at less than 19 minutes right now. But that's you can tell we had nothing really to talk about for this game. Tomorrow's game is at 6:30 apparently.
6:30, nice. And yeah, I normally, when I podcast with Frank, and I don't know whether this comes through, but I don't need to do too much preparation because first of all, we've podcasted enough. We've probably done 500 plus podcasts together, I would assume. So we got no problem talking to each other. But also, if I do get to the end of the podcast and I run out of things, I normally say, "What else you got, Frank?" And you give us another topic. So
I usually say nothing, and then I talk for another 8 minutes about some hyper random thing. But I have nothing else to. I'm actually done.
I'm happy. I'm happy with that. We'll be back tomorrow. So as I said, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, it would be nice if you could do so. Before we do wrap it up, I will mention the Ultimate Pro Basketball Preview 2022, a 6-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the NBA season. The local team experts and the NBA insiders of the Locked On Podcast Network and Odyssey all combine for one ultimate NBA preview. Search for the Ultimate Pro NBA Preview 2022 on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And we will be back after the Bucks and the Nets. Hopefully a little bit more to talk about as the Bucks get one more run in before the regular season opener next week. So for Frank and myself, we'll leave it there. Catch you guys tomorrow.